Now, if you're an NBA fan, you obviously have been watching the bubble. I mean, we haven't seen basketball for 4 months, and this is the best we got, and everyone is taking it. Now, the gap between the NBA getting canceled and the NBA coming back is actually right around the same length of a regular offseason. So it was definitely going to be interesting to see how these teams would play given that time gap. And as we've seen the past couple of weeks, some of these players and some of these teams are playing much differently compared to how they were playing before the NBA was canceled. Today, we're going to be talking about the winners and the losers of the NBA bubble, at least when it comes to the seeding games. Obviously, the playoffs are going to be a different story, but the 8 games we've seen so far has already caused a lot of storylines that are very interesting. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video on the channel, hosted by your boy Ned Souls. What's good? We're still in the beginning stages of this new format, and YouTube doesn't really know, the potential of what we got going on. You know what I'm saying? So if you like this new format of mine and these type of videos, go ahead and leave a like on this video, or give me some feedback in the comment section, or subscribe to the channel if you really, really trying to be part of the game. But with that being said, let's go ahead and start with the losers. All right, the first loser I got is the Washington Wizards. And this should be clear if you've been keeping up with the NBA bubble. They have been playing so bad. They have been playing so bad. And to put into perspective, okay, let's talk about the record in the bubble first. In the bubble, they went 1-7. 1-7. Which caused them to end the season with a record that was worse than 2 teams who didn't even qualify for the bubble. So theoretically speaking, they got kicked out of the playoffs by a team that wasn't even playing in the bubble. That's terrible. Now, next up, we got the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, when it comes to good teams having a bad stretch at the end of seasons, a lot of NBA fans always point to, they're not trying. They're just coasting to prepare for the playoffs. And while that can be true to an extent, and it can be true as well in this case, I really don't think the Bucks are coasting, because the purpose of the scrimmage games and the 8 games we just played is for at least these NBA teams to get accustomed to the environment, to get back into the rhythm of things, and just in general, just shake the rust off of all these players. And I don't really get the point of load managing when these guys haven't played for 3-4 months, and if anything, want to get reps in and again get into their rhythm. And again, this is only a 8 game sample size, and maybe the Bucks will turn it up in the playoffs. Hopefully they do. But in the 8 games we've seen so far, the Milwaukee Bucks were 3-5, and just in general didn't look like the unstoppable force that they were in the regular season. Now, mind you, in the regular season, they had a top 10 offense in the league. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know for a fact they had the #1 defense in the league, and were on pace at one point, and this was pretty deep into the season, of being on pace to win nearly 70 games. But in the bubble, they've had a lot of trouble guarding teams that run a small ball lineup against them, because that kind of defeats the purpose of having Brook Lopez on the defensive end, and then they have to run Giannis at the 5, and then that lessens their rim protection. And while they're still a good team, I'm not doubting that, and they're still the favorite to come out the East, they just don't seem as imposing as they were pre-pandemic, because the 3 wins they've gotten in the bubble have come in the hands of the Boston Celtics, which went down to the wire and had a controversial ending. The other one was against the Miami Heat, where at one point the Heat were up by 23. And again, while the Bucks did end up coming back and winning the game, that's definitely a concerning sight to see still. And then the only other win they had was against the Washington Wizards, which, they're the Washington Wizards without Bradley Beal. Come on now. And also, this doesn't apply to the Milwaukee Bucks as a whole, but I did check, and Chris Middleton was 5 field goals away from having a 50-40-90 season. So that's tough, man. But shouts to Chris Middleton, because he pretty much had a 50-40-90 season. Now, the next team I want to talk about is the Los Angeles Lakers. And I just find it crazy that both the Milwaukee Bucks and the Los Angeles Lakers are struggling in the bubble. The Lakers in the bubble so far have just been a mess, and it's pretty concerning, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty concerning. To put it shortly, like the Milwaukee Bucks, they have not been playing like the team we saw in March or in February. They have the 2nd worst offense in the bubble, only in front of the Washington Wizards, and their defense, despite being a top 3 defense throughout the whole season, in the bubble has dropped all the way down to 11th, which is still in the top half of the league, but barely, and that drop is a very noticeable drop. And it's just the wrong time for the Lakers to be playing bad, but again, given the hiatus and that time gap, it's understandable. Now, this next team I would say is the biggest loser of the NBA bubble, hands down, and that is the New Orleans Pelicans. And that just hinges on the fact that me and a lot of people are very disappointed in the New Orleans Pelicans, because going into the bubble, a lot of people kind of prematurely gave the New Orleans Pelicans the 8th seed. They had a very talented squad. They had Zion, Lonzo was on the come up, BI is the most improved candidate. They got JJ Redick, Josh Hart. They had the easiest schedule in the bubble, and all they needed to do was be in the 9th seed and be 4 games within the 8th seed, and they just didn't do it and didn't really even come close. And after like the first 2 games, we just knew that this 8th, 9th seed race was not just going to be the Grizzlies and the Pelicans. So let's analyze why they've been a mess. Number 1, Alvin Gentry. A lot of people have been giving Alvin Gentry flack because a lot of people think that he was holding back Zion, restricting his minutes too much, and especially in must-win games. But on the other hand, Zion himself has been so out of shape that to a degree, I really don't blame Alvin Gentry for resting him. Look, I know I'm not the one that should be talking about weight loss because, you know, I know it. They call me Netzos for a reason, man. But I'm not the number 1 overall pick of an NBA draft. I'm not being paid millions of dollars to be an athletic freak and a star of an NBA team. That's not me. But Zion is. And this isn't even coming from a place of hate. Like, I'm genuinely just concerned for the dude because I want him to have a healthy and long career in the NBA because the potential Zion has is sky high. It really is sky high. But when you watched him in the bubble, he just looked so gassed. Like, he was huffing and puffing down the court to the point where it really did affect his play, because you can see on the defensive end that he wasn't really engaged and he was kind of lazy. He wasn't quick on his feet, and most of the time he was too tired to even contest shots. And I'm not even gonna play it in this video because y'all know the deal. Y'all know why I'm doing this format. But just go on YouTube after this video and watch Zion's Duke highlights and watch some of his highlights from the past couple of weeks, and the difference is massively concerning. It's massively concerning. But aside from Zion, there's also been Lonzo Ball. Oh man, Lonzo is looking like a BB bust again. Okay, a disclaimer, when I say that, I'm not saying he is. When I made that video a couple months ago, that was just to start the conversation. But in the bubble, yes, he's putting up 6.6 assists a game and around 5 rebounds. But again, this has always been the problem with Lonzo. Yes, he can pass the ball. Yes, he can play defense. And yes, scoring is not why you want Lonzo on your team. But there is still a level of scoring ability that you expect from a starting NBA point guard. And Lonzo, at times, just misses that mark by so much. Because in the bubble, Lonzo is only averaging 7 points a game on 30% shooting from the field, 28% shooting from 3, and 56% from the free throw line. And because of all of these factors, they ended the bubble with a 2-6 record and the worst record out of all the teams from the Western Conference that made it into the bubble. And honestly, I'm just hoping that the New Orleans Pelicans can use this as a learning experience for Lonzo to, focus more on scoring, for Zion to stay in shape, and to reconsider Alvin Gentry as that coach. But yeah, it's been disappointing. Moving on, let's talk about the 76ers, because the 76ers throughout the whole season has already had a pretty disappointing season. A lot of people thought that the 76ers actually had the most stacked team in the Eastern Conference, just looking on paper. And long story short, on paper and what you see on the court are 2 different things, because they finished the bubble and the regular season as just a 6 seed. But that was pre-cancellation. The reason why I put them on the loser side of the bracket is the big hit that they took with the injury of Ben Simmons. Because Ben Simmons suffered a knee injury that sidelined him for the rest of the NBA season. And on a team where their most redeeming quality is defense, the fact that they just lost one of the most versatile defenders in the league, and who some people thought was a defensive player of the year candidate in Ben Simmons, that's definitely a big blow. And now Joel Embiid doesn't have that second star on the court, but depending on how Joel Embiid and the 76ers play without Ben Simmons, I think the 76ers will be forced to choose sooner rather than later between Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Now, let's move on to the winners. Man. Let's get positive P-Souls in the building, because negative N-Souls was taking over the first half of this video. The first winner I want to talk about, already know the deal, TJ Warren, baby. TJ Warren is one of the biggest winners of this NBA bubble, because in the bubble, TJ Warren was looking elite. And I mean that, elite. Looking at his numbers in the bubble, TJ Warren averaged 31 points, 6 rebounds, a block, and a steal a game on 59% shooting from the field, 52% shooting from 3, and 89% from the line. Let me reiterate this. Those are elite numbers. Those are elite. And also, let's talk about it, man. I remember the comments y'all had on my top 50 current list video when I put TJ Warren at the bottom half of that top 50, around like 45 to 50. I saw the comments, man. I'll display them on the screen. And look how silly you guys look right now. Y'all looking silly. I was woke. Y'all weren't, man. Y'all weren't. Stay asleep. Stay asleep on TJ Dub. Now, TJ Warren, just in general, has been a pretty underrated player the past 3 seasons because his last 2 years in Phoenix, he did average like 20 points a game and like 6 rebounds, which are very solid numbers, and it was on good efficiency as well. And the fact that the Phoenix Suns traded that for cash considerations, that's tough. That's tough. And this season, TJ Warren has improved on that even more, averaging 20 points a game on 54% shooting from the field and 40% from 3. And those numbers are translating to wins. So shout out to TJ Warren. Hopefully he can get a big bag down the line. But let's move on to the next winner, the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors are playing like defending NBA champions. And it's crazy. I still can't believe how well they're playing, considering the fact that they just lost Kawhi Leonard, a Finals MVP. And that is something that people should only use to praise the Toronto Raptors. That is not something y'all should use to knock Kawhi. And I'll probably make a separate video on that at some point because it's coming. It's coming. Now, as of the making of this video, this is the last day of the seeding game, so Toronto hasn't played their 8 games. But as of the making of this video, they have only lost 1 game. And in the bubble has had by far the best defense in the league, and it's not even close. Now, their offense has actually been pretty bad. They've had the 3rd worst offense in the bubble, and there really isn't like an astounding player. Like Kyle Lowry isn't averaging like 35 a game, or OG Anunoby isn't having a come out party. But they've just been having a very solid run in the bubble, and it's a treat to see. So shout out to the Toronto Raptors. Hopefully y'all can keep it up. Just keep it up, Toronto. Keep it up. Now, I probably would have put this team as the biggest winner in the bubble if they made the playoffs, and you guys probably know where I'm going with this, but they didn't, and that was the Phoenix Suns. Now, Phoenix Suns fans and the Phoenix Suns organization, keep your head up, man, because what y'all did in the bubble was something to be commended for. Now, if you guys don't know, y'all probably do know, but the Phoenix Suns went 8-0 in the bubble. The one thing that everyone's been waiting for the Phoenix Suns to do the past couple of years, and Devin Booker as well, is for those numbers that they're putting up and the young talent that they have to actually take that next leap and translate their production into wins. And what they did in the NBA bubble is a step in the right direction. Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges were providing some really good production from the forward spots, which is really good since I believe both of them are either rookies or second-year players. Ricky Rubio was giving you 13 points, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds a night. Very solid. DeAndre Ayton was back, and he was giving you 15 and 10 on good efficiency. And D-Book, man, wet like on Book. Wet like on Book. In the bubble, Devin Booker averaged a terrific 31 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds a game on 50, 30, 94 splits. Like, those numbers are insane. And in the bubble, the Phoenix Suns as a whole finished with the 2nd best offense and the 4th best defense, and by far the best net rating. Like, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but they had like a plus 12.9 or something. If I got that number right exact, leave a like on this video. And once again, shout out to the Phoenix Suns, and hopefully they can build on the bubble performance that they just had. Also, another big winner in the NBA bubble has been the Portland Trail Blazers and Damian Lillard. Now, the Blazers haven't played their play-in games against the Memphis Grizzlies, but regardless of what happens, the fact that they even got into the play-in tournament and how they've been playing and how Dame specifically has been balling, they deserve the W. They deserve the W for the bubble. And they've just been generally locked in. But no one has been more locked in than Damian Lillard. And I don't want to get into it too much because I already talked about it in my last video, but let me just say the numbers. The man averaged 38 points, 10 assists, and 4 rebounds a game on 50% from the field, 44% from 3, 89% from the line, while shooting 13 threes a game. 13 threes a game. And the last winner I have for this video has to be Michael Porter Jr. Now, for those of you who don't remember, going into the 2017-2018 college basketball season, Michael Porter Jr. was the #1 prospect of that draft class. But his stock dropped dramatically after he suffered a pretty major back injury, and rightfully so. But in the 2018 draft, the Denver Nuggets were in the perfect position to draft Michael Porter Jr. Because at this point, the Denver Nuggets were already good, and they didn't really have much to lose from drafting him and only had a lot to gain. And after missing his first season in the league, which again was not a big deal as the Denver Nuggets still ended with a top record in the Western Conference, this season, but more specifically in the bubble, MPJ has been proving that that risk was worth it. It was worth it. Now in January, Michael Porter Jr. already had a 10-game stretch where he was putting up 15 points and 9 rebounds a game in just 25 minutes of play on really good efficiency, by the way. So back then, he was already showing glimpses of what he could be. But in the bubble, he just took full advantage of the situation. Took full advantage of it. Because in the NBA bubble, Michael Porter Jr. has been averaging 22 points and 9 rebounds a game on a ridiculous 55-42-93 split. Like 55-42-93 split from essentially a rookie. And just a couple of days ago, Mike Malone actually announced that he is giving Michael Porter Jr. the starting forward position for the long term. So, man, just clap it up for MPJ, man. Shout out to MPJ. Hopefully more success is coming your way. But with that being said, that's going to be it for the video. Let me know in the comment section who you think the biggest winners and losers of the NBA bubble are. Watch these 2 videos on the screen if you haven't already. But with that being said, Ned Souls is out. Peace.